What's going on, everybody? Vulcan Turtle TCG here to bring you guys another matchup video, and today we're doing a video requested in the comments, Arceus VSTAR versus Duraludon. I thought that it was pretty fitting considering the results that they had at Vancouver, so why not, right? So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below on what matchup you want to see next. Starting off, we have Lugia VSTAR, and the list that we have here today is Ian Rob's first place winning list from Vancouver Regionals. As you can see, there's a few differences here from the usual Lugia lists. While normally Lugia would play a few Serena, we see that Ian has opted out of Serena for a more boss-heavy strategy. We could most likely expect Lugia list to emulate this in the future, but we'll see how that unfolds. Another fantastic inclusion here is the escape rope. While a lot of Lugia players are using something like a bird keeper to get Pokemon out of the active, this does take your supporter for the turn, where Ian has decided that escape rope allows you to switch and you can still use an amazing supporter like one of those boss's orders. So I think that's a fantastic inclusion. Now, for the pros of Lugia VSTAR, we have the fact that it's just an extremely fast deck. Its main focus is using the V-Star ability to use Summoning Star. It allows you to bring two non-rule box Pokemon, two non-rule box normal type Pokemon from the discard to the bench. Lugia's main target for this is Archeops from Silver Tempest. Now this card has an ability called Primal Turbo, which allows you to accelerate 2 special energy from your deck to any one of your Pokemon. You can get 2 Archeops on the bench, you're accelerating 4 energies. So this allows you to swing with many different attackers like the Amazing Rare Yveltal, Amazing Rare Raikou, and the Lugia itself. Now, to the cons of Lugia, it does look kind of like it has the answer to everything in the format, but it's not completely immune to the almighty brick. Sometimes Lugia is unable to get 2 Archeops in the discard for maximum effect of its Summoning Star. Sometimes you just get a handful of energy, and that's just no good because you have to accelerate those from the deck. So if you get a handful of energy, that's just not good, and sometimes you just get no supporter either. So the other big extreme weakness I would have to say about Lugia as well is being ability locked. If you're going to lock out its Summoning Star ability, you pretty much lock it out of the game. But that's enough about Lugia. Let's talk about Duraludon VMAX. Now, the Duraludon VMAX list that I have here today is our very own Zach Lesage's third place Vancouver list. Now, Duraludon VMAX is a fantastic card in this format, and for a few reasons. One of them is that its attack does 220 damage for 2 metal and a fighting energy. I think the most important piece of this attack is that it shreds, so cards like Miltank, V-Guard energy, and basically any form of protection that is on a Pokemon, Duraludon is just going to shred right through that. The other reason is that Duraludon has an amazing ability called Skyscraper. This ability allows Duraludon to be not damaged by Pokemon with special energy attached to them. So there's a few decks that rely on special energy. Mew VMAX, Lugia, Blissey Miltank, which is somehow seeing play still, but hey, can't blame them all for trying. And Duraludon has built-in protection from these Pokemon, so Arceus is a great partner for it. I mean, you get to accelerate onto it, and then you just kind of protect yourself from any main deck that's using special energies. But the other good reason that Arceus is here is for its V-Star ability called Starbirth. It allows you to look through your deck and search for any 2 cards you want, so you can maximize your ability to build up Duraludon VMAX. Now, the pros are obviously, as mentioned before. Now, you have the ability to block Pokemon with special energy. You shred with attacks. Arceus VSTAR itself is a fantastic attacker with an amazing ability, but there's more to meet the eye here. Now, Zach's specific list here has 4 Boss's Orders, which is absolutely insane. He also played 4 Pokegear 3.0, so he can find those Boss's Orders or even search cards like Chorus's Experiment, Marnie. Don't know why I called search cards. I mean, they're literally just supporters, but hey, we'll roll with it. But you are able to actually kind of be a little bit more consistent with this type of list because you have a lot of ways to find your supporters. Now, the 4 Boss's Orders here is really good, especially in the Lugia matchup, but I think the more important and interesting piece here is that Zach decided to play 3 Collapse Stadium. Now, normally with the Duraludon list, you'll see something like Lost City so they can kind of help themselves in the single prize matchup against Regis or Lost Box. But hey, if you can block them from putting specific Pokemon down to begin with, that's just as good. Another really cool piece that I like here is the single copy of Choice Belt. Now, Dragonite V is a Pokemon that sees a lot of play, and the maximum output of damage that you're putting out with Duraludon is 220, leaving that Dragonite V with simply 10 HP left. But Choice Belt helps you swing 250, get right over it, and can also help you in certain math situations as well. So I really like this list. Now, with the cons of Duraludon VMAX, this goes for any Duraludon VMAX. Bricks, which is exactly what buildings are made of. So Duraludon VMAX is known in the community to be one of the most brickiest decks in the world. It's one of the reasons that a lot of players are off-put playing Duraludon VMAX to begin with. It's the fact that you may not be able to get set up and you just simply brick your way through a game loss, and that's not a good feeling. However, it does seem like with the 3 copies of Marnie, the 4 copies of Colress here, a Raihan, and all the stuff that Zach's got going on here, it seems like it's very possible that bricking wasn't really on the menu, especially if you consider that he did get 3rd. So that is one of the big cons with Duraludon VMAX. Now, I'm done talking about the list and the pros and the cons. I know what you guys want. You guys want the action. So how do you play this matchup? Alright, so we're going to start with Lugia's side of things. Now, I'm just going to be specifically talking about setup here. Now, one of the most important things that Lugia can do is find a way to get themselves those Archeops in the discard. So how are they going to go about getting Archeops in the discard? Well, they can play things like Ultra Ball, so that way they can toss 2 Archeops in the hand and get him in there, and then use that Summoning Star ability to get those Archeops onto the bench. From there, they're able to accelerate onto whatever they want. But because you are playing Special Energy, how are you going to get through that Duraludon VMAX, who doesn't take damage from Pokemon with Special Energy? Now, I'm sure I spoiled it already due to my misclicks here, but Yveltal, Amazing Rare. Amazing Rare Yveltal has an attack called Amazing Destruction, which doesn't do damage. It just knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon, so it eats right through that ability. So how are you going to pull that off? Well, let's say you have an Archeops in the active because your Lugia VSTAR was knocked out earlier and all that good stuff. This is the setup, right? You have the 2 Archeops. It's one of the most important things in order to get this off turn 1. So you're going to want to use something like Quick Ball so you can get yourself a Yveltal. With the Yveltal, you're able to actually knock out the Duraludon, but you need the energy. So with Archeops' Primal Turbos, you can actually just start accelerating all the energies you need. Now, the common way to do this is to get 3 Auroras or 2 Aurora and whatever other special energy you play that matches the special energy needed, and a double turbo. Don't forget to attach per turn onto your active Pokemon that can retreat, and then get that Yveltal in the active. From there, you just Amazing Destruction and take your knockout. Now, let's say the Duraludon VMAX has a big Parasol attached to it. What do you do in this situation? Well, it's actually kind of interesting because it shows the combo-ness of Lugia, right? It just shows how good Lugia can be due to the amount of cards and text that it can play. So the first thing you're going to want to do is play something like Quick Ball, right? And you can go and get yourself a Lumineon V. Now with Lumineon V, you can go get yourself Irida, and with Irida, you're able to search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card. So for this instance, the item card that we're going to want to grab is a Lost Vacuum. The water Pokemon that we can grab can literally be another Lumineon, but I would prefer the Manaphy since it doesn't help us out in this matchup. With this, we can actually use the Lost Vacuum to throw away the Manaphy in the Lost Zone, which is going to target the big Parasol, leaving Duraludon wide open for an Amazing Destruction attack. Alright, so still talking about Lugia here, we're going to talk about Duraludon setup and how you can actually exploit it to your advantage. So one of the main things that you can actually do here is just simply boss out the single Duraludon V. If your opponent only has one Duraludon V in play, there is a chance that they could muster later or set another Duraludon V as well, but if they only have the one, that is the target you want to hit, because later on you might not be able to hit it with your Lugia VSTAR for a knockout. So once you actually get the Duraludon V into the active, you could just just go ahead and accelerate a bunch of powerful energy onto your Lugia and then swing for a huge knockout. Now, what happens if your opponent has 2 Duraludon V in play? Well, it's essentially the exact same plan, right? What you're going to do is you're going to boss out one of the Duraludon V in play and bring it forward so you can get a knockout on it. Now, why is that important? As I had stated before, you have Yveltal. So if you can only Yveltal once because Lugia doesn't play any recovery whatsoever, it's better to try to eat through 1 VMAX than 2, because if they get 2 VMAXs in play, you're most likely just gonna lose. So target one of those Duraludons, get a knockout on it early, and let Yveltal do the rest later on in the matchup. So unfortunately, due to how this whole thing works with Lugia and Duraludon, that's pretty much the majority of the advice that I can really give you, besides altering your deck and playing a couple paths. But we're gonna move on to Duraludon VMAX and what to do in the Lugia matchup. Now, we're gonna talk about setup here. The first thing that you're gonna want to do is try and get yourself 2 Duraludon VMAX in play. That is extremely important because, as I said before, getting 1 in play, if you do get bossed or Serena, that's going to be a little bit difficult to work around because Arceus doesn't have that kind of protection. However, if you do only end up having 1 Duraludon V in play, make sure you try to find a way to sneak in a mustard play so you can cheat out a Duraludon VMAX a little easier. So that is going to be pretty much the setup. You want to get at least 2 Duraludons in play because Lugia does play heavy boss, so make sure you get that rolling. Now, we're going to talk about a specific setup here, right? Now, if Lugia VSTAR's main goal in this matchup is to get Yveltal in play, what is the main weakness of the deck? It's got to be the Archeops. So what you definitely want to do at some point is boss out those Archeops. Because Lugia is not doing any damage to you, it's going to be extremely easy to target those Archeops and take knockouts on them, making Lugia still not being able to hit you. This is also extremely important because when they do put out the Yveltal, they're only going to be able to accelerate 2 energies onto it. Now, you could do 2 things here. You could attach yourself the big Parasol, but you know that they play Vacuum. Now, you could get around that, which maybe they don't hit it, maybe they do. You know that they play Irida and 2 Luminions. So the other option that you could do here is either have Boss's Order in hand or try to find Boss's Orders through Pokegear 3.0. If you're able to find a Boss's Orders, it doesn't matter what you target here. Kind of. Now, if they don't get the Yveltal, you don't have to target the Yveltal. You could just target the other Archeops and just take the game from there. But if they do have the Yveltal in play, you're going to want to target that Yveltal, take a knockout, and reset the match because, hey, there's not much that they can do from here. Now, another really interesting thing that you can do in this matchup, especially with Zach Lesage's list, is the fact that you can utilize Lugia's bench space against them. They need to have 2 bench space available at all times so they can play both of their Archeops. Now, how do you make that work for you? Well, when you play the Collapse Stadium, you actually open up 1 slot for them, right? Because they get to have 4, but you close another. So there's a few ways that Lugia is able to actually get around this so that way they can still play their double Archeops. One of those ways is to actually play Pumpkaboo. Now that's still going to be a problem because, well, they still only have 1 space left and they're going to probably want you to get a knockout at some point so that way they can play 2 Archeops. So that is one play that they can make, but it hurts them in the long run. Another move that they can make is they can play Lost Vacuum and kind of get rid of that Collapse Stadium, but it allows you to use your big Parasol, especially if you know that they only play the 1 Lost Vacuum. That means for the rest of the game, you don't really even need to target the Archeops because they can't get rid of big Parasol and Yveltal can't hit through Duraludon at that point. So using Lost Vacuum here is also probably not the best option for them. Another thing that Lugia could do is basically just attack for 0 damage to get rid of Collapse Stadium. Lugia's secondary or effective attack is to get rid of a Stadium in play. However, if they do that, there's not much that they can actually do from that point forward. Yes, they can attack, but they lose their turn because they attacked. You could knock out the Lugia VSTAR or even get yourself set up so you can get Boss's Orders in hand because their bench is kind of full here, right? You could just get Boss's Orders, start targeting Archeops, and make the Yveltal play even harder. So that is going to be it for today's matchup. Leave a comment below. What do you guys think of this matchup? Who definitely has the bigger advantage here? I would definitely love to know. And if you want to see a specific matchup, leave a comment maybe it'll get picked. You never know. This was actually picked from the comment section, and I figured it'd be a good pick simply because, well, Zach Lesage did place third, and he's our very own Shuffle Squad member, and the first place deck was a Lugia, so why not throw those together? Another cool thing that I would like to mention here is that if you want to use any of these strategies or play any of these decks in an upcoming tournament, try a late night event. They happen every Tuesday, and there's 2 events for you European players and for you North American players, so definitely give that a try. Thank you guys for watching. It's always appreciated. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe, and until then, I will see you guys next time.
The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com and at the checkout screen, make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTC Geo Store to provide our community with the best access to Pokemon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at ptcgeostore.com.
Are you trying to be the best like no one ever was? Now is your time. Head on over to Metaphygg and search out all our amazing Pokemon TCG coaches where you can book all sorts of training plans ranging from deck help to full season sessions with your favorite coach. What a great way to up your game. Check out Metaphygg in the description below and take your game to the next level. Challenge yourself against trainers from around the world to compete for the biggest online prizing yet.
Are you ready for an unbelievable tournament unlike anything else you've ever seen before? The Shuffle Squad is proud to announce our newest tournament series, the Late Night Events, with an amazing grand prize that's bound to have you excited.
Players can compete via play.limitless.tcg.com's online tournament platform every Tuesday to get a chance to earn weekly prizes. And every week, your placement in the tournament is tallied by points based on your best finishes to earn your rank for the Late Night Invitational event.
The series will be conducted starting February 7th of 2023 and carry all the way through to the Invitational on July 9th of 2023, where the top players will be rewarded the grand prizing.
And the grand prize is a signed jersey and photo op with the entire Shuffle Squad, as well as a fully paid trip to the Pokemon World Championships in Yokohama, Japan. This includes hotel and airfare, whether you're a player or a spectator.
Don't forget to check out all the live coverage on our YouTube and Twitch channel of the top cuts of these events for every week. And subscribe so you can get notified where to watch the Late Night Events Invitational brought to you by the Shuffle Squad. Now get out there and start winning. We'll see you in Japan.